the Wooden Tank Engine and Friend, Wooden Railway Stories, Season 1, Episode 6, James and the Mail. It was a beautiful summer's morning on the island of Sodor. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and everywhere you went, you could hear the sound of engines' wheels clickety-clacking along the track as they busily worked hard. Toby, Thomas, and Emily were all running the branch lines. Dirk was pulling empty coal trucks to the docks, while Oliver was pulling some cars to the station for passengers and holidaymakers to hire so they could drive to see the sights of Sodor. Salty was shunting some fish trucks at the docks. Gordon was pulling the express. And Henry and Molly were pulling passengers and holidaymakers around the island. The engines were all working very hard and very happily. All except James. James, the splendid red engine, was stuck at the station yards, shunting passenger trains and goods trains for the other engines. He banged the trucks and coaches into place. And quickly shunted them out of the way, to make way for more passenger and goods trains. One morning, he was bringing Gordon's express coaches to the platform, when Gordon rushed in. Come on, I haven't got all day. Get away from them coaches and shunt some others." James was furious. He puffed away to get some more coaches. He waited until Gordon had coupled to the express. Gordon blew a long, loud whistle and steamed away. He didn't even say thank you to James. James angrily banged the coaches and crossly bit the trucks. But by the time he had finished, it was very late, and James was the last engine to return to the sheds. He was very cross. "Silly engines always make me shunt their silly coaches for their silly passengers. Why can't they do it themselves?" "Do you mind?" said Gordon. "Some of us are trying to sleep. We've got important express trains to take tomorrow." "Pah," snorted James. He was about to go to sleep when he noticed something. In between Thomas and Gordon, there was an empty space in the shed. James looked round. He looked round Tidmouth Sheds. He couldn't think which engine was missing. Then at last the answer came. "Percy!" he exclaimed. "Where's Percy gone?" Just then the Fat Controller arrived. "Ah," he said, "you've noticed that Percy's missing, have you?" "Yes, where is he? Asked James. "Harry and Bert played a trick on him by shunting too many trucks behind him at the station. It's a disgrace. He couldn't make it up Gordon's Hill. His steam valves shook and his axles rattled." "Where is he?" asked James. "At the works," said the Fat Controller. "His pistons had popped, his axles had snapped a little, and even his side rods came off, and one of his steam valves leaked a bit too." "Sounds serious," said James. "Yes," said the Fat Controller, "it's very serious. But James, I have an important job for you." James listened very carefully. "I would like you, James, to take Percy's mail train tomorrow." James was overjoyed with excitement. The mail was a very important job indeed. I would have given it to Thomas, but he's pulled it way too many times, said the Flat Controller. I think you deserve the chance to pull the mail every now and then, James. James heartily agreed. When shall I collect the mail coaches, sir? He asked. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Get some rest and get to the station nice and early, James. No one likes a sleepy engine. And so James did fall asleep. The next morning, James did his regular dose of boasting. The engines were all cross with him, but he thought he was the most important engine. He steamed quickly out of Tidmouth Sheds to collect the mail. At the station, Molly and Spencer were there. Diesels had come to the station last night and had jumbled up all the coaches. Spencer and Molly didn't know how to get them out, and they didn't want to shunt them themselves. At last, James arrived. "What do you think you're doing?" asked Spencer. "Collecting the mail. What's it look like I'm doing?" said James. "It looks like you're trying to get out of shunting," said Molly. "Get away from them mail coaches and get our coaches ready." "Nope, the Fast Controllers told me to take the mail." "That's too important for an engine like you," said Spencer. "Well," said James, "because of that, I think I'll leave." And he did. Quickly, he steamed away. "Don't you leave," said Spencer. "If you leave the station, I'll..." But it was too late. James was already steaming under the bridge out to the station. "This," said James, "is the easiest job I've ever done." James hurried towards Gordon's Hill. He rattled right up to the top without stopping, and thundered towards the viaduct. He was nearing the end of the bridge. "This is so easy," said James. "I can't believe that I never pulled the mail train before." And he whooshed down the hill. James whooshed into Maithwaite Station. James looked over to the other track. There was Bill and Ben approaching a red signal. "I'm an important engine. I don't wait for signals," said James. And as soon as he was ready, he shot off up onto the mainline bridge. Ben was cross. Look at him," he said, "all smug. Shows how unimportant jobs he gets." James knew that they were just being silly. "Ha," he said, "I am a really useful engine." And he thundered across the mainline bridge. He steamed into the quarry mine tunnel, not knowing what he'd see at the bottom. When James did come out of the quarry mine tunnel, he got a nasty surprise. "Bust my buffers, what's happened here?" There at the station yard was Spencer, Molly, and Neville. "If you'd have shunted these coaches, this wouldn't have happened," said Spencer. "Yeah," said Molly, "and it was Neville's fault as well." "I was trying to help," argued Neville. "We crashed into each other and into all the buffers in the sidings, and we're all derailed. There's nothing we can do," said Spencer. "There's one thing I can do," said James. "What's that?" asked Molly. "Leave," laughed James. James steamed happily away, but then there was trouble. Just as he was arriving at the junction, exiting the station, he heard a guard's whistle. A line of troublesome trucks were racing and rattling down Gordon's Hill. I'll just wait here, said James. The trucks will go right past me. The trucks were coming ever closer to the junction. I might reverse just to be on the safe side, said James. Then there was trouble. The trucks did indeed head down to James's track. Bust my buffers, cried James. Help! The derailed coach behind Spencer tipped over onto the tracks. And James reversed right into it. His brake van came off the tracks. James tried to reverse, but the overturned brake van wouldn't let him. The trucks thundered down James's tracks, and they crashed and smashed right into his buffers. James was lost in a sea of trucks. Spencer, Molly, and Neville laughed and laughed. The Fat Controller arrived and stood on Fred, the orange coal truck. Please, sir, cried James from underneath the trucks. I don't know what happened. We do, cried a voice. It was Bill, along with Ben. Bill and Ben have pushed the trucks down Gordon's Hill to pay James out. They told the Fat Controller everything about James being very rude to them. And James told him everything too, about being rude to Spencer, Molly, and Neville, and for not helping them in their time of need. Well, James, said the Fat Controller, where you're going, you won't have to help anybody. Where's that, sir? asked James. In the sheds, said the Fat Controller. You can spend a few days there thinking about how to be a really useful engine. And so James did spend a few days in the sheds, along with Molly, Spencer, and Neville. They taught him right, and they taught him exactly how to be a really useful engine. And I now think James has learned a lesson, don't you?